The desert sun had barely risen when the soldiers heard it, the steady, sharp crack of a rifle echoing across the barren firing range. At first, they thought it was just another training exercise. But when they turned, they froze. A tiny silhouette, no taller than the rifle she held, stood at the edge of the rusted shooting table. A little girl, 12 years old, hair messy, boots too big, jacket hanging off her shoulders, and yet every shot she fired hit dead center. Colonel Harlow, the man who had once commanded elite units across 3 continents, stopped mid-stride. He had laughed at her request just hours earlier. A little girl wanting to use a SEAL-level firing lane. He almost sent her back to camp. Yet now, watching her break record set by men twice his strength and 3 times her experience, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Disbelief mixed with awe, and that's where the story really begins. The morning had started like any other at Falcon Ridge Military Base. The air tasted of dust and early sunlight, tents flapped in the desert wind, and soldiers marched to their stations. Colonel Harlow was reviewing the day's drills when he heard a soft voice behind him. "Sir, can I try the long-range rifles?" He turned, expecting a trembling recruit. Instead, he saw a young girl, maybe 12, maybe younger, standing in oversized fatigues, the sleeves swallowing her hands. Her name patch read Lena Carter, stitched crookedly as if done by someone learning to sew. The colonel blinked. "This range is for Special Forces candidates, kid." He chuckled. "You're brave for asking, I'll give you that." Lena didn't smile. She didn't even flinch. "My father trained here," she said quietly. "He taught me everything he knew. I just want one chance." Those words hit him harder than he expected. He remembered her father, Master Chief Carter, a decorated Navy SEAL who had once saved an entire unit during a night assault. He had been gone for 2 years now, lost during an operation no one was allowed to talk about. Still, regulations were regulations. "Lena, I can't let a child fire a SEAL-grade rifle. It's not a toy. It kicks harder than—" "I can handle it," she whispered, her brown eyes steady, unwavering. "Please, just 1 round." The colonel hesitated. Something in her voice wasn't childish at all. It carried weight loss and a determination far older than her age. "Tell you what," he sighed. "You can stand beside the lane, watch the men shoot, learn something. But no firing." She nodded politely, but the look in her eyes said she wasn't giving up. Hours later, the range was full, soldiers lining up, laughing, wagering, testing their skills for fun. It was then that the colonel saw Lena slip quietly behind an unused lane. Kneeling beside a rusted table where a sniper rifle rested, he opened his mouth to call out, but froze. The rifle rose steady, controlled, not shaky, not hesitant. Lena had shouldered it like she'd been born for it. She inhaled softly, held fired. The first bullet struck the steel target 1,000 yards away. Dead center. None of the SEAL trainees had hit that mark that morning. "What on earth?" the colonel whispered, walking closer but unable to fully believe what he was seeing. Lena fired again, and again, each shot faster, cleaner, sharper. Her tiny finger worked the trigger with the rhythm of someone who had practiced this motion thousands of times. Sweat trickled down her brow, but her eyes never once left the scope. Soldiers started gathering behind her. The chatter faded into stunned silence. Someone whispered, "Sir, she's breaking Carter's old range record." The colonel swallowed hard. Her father's record. The one no man had ever beaten, but the little girl was doing it. Calmly, almost quietly. When the last magazine emptied, Lena lowered the rifle with gentle reverence, as if placing down a memory. She didn't celebrate. She didn't turn around for applause. She simply whispered to herself, "I hope that was good enough, Daddy." The colonel felt a crack in the armor he had spent decades building. This wasn't talent. This was something deeper, pain turned into precision, and he knew he had to understand what drove her. That evening, after the crowd dispersed and the desert grew quiet, Colonel Harlow found Lena sitting alone on an ammo crate, legs dangling, clutching her father's old dog tag. She didn't notice him until he spoke gently. "Lena, where did you learn to shoot like that?" She hesitated, then finally answered, "My dad said focus is stronger than fear. Every night before deployment, we used to practice breathing together. I'd sit on the floor, and he'd pretend I was holding a rifle. He'd tell me stories about the men he saved, the ones he couldn't, and how every shot had to matter." Her voice cracked, but she kept talking, as if afraid to let the silence swallow her. When he didn't come back, I thought maybe if I could hit the targets he used to hit, it would make him feel closer. Like he's still training me. Still proud. The colonel felt his chest tighten. He had seen soldiers break before. Grown men collapsing under the weight of grief. But seeing this child carry the same weight with such quiet dignity cut far deeper. Lena, he said softly, today you didn't just hit those targets. You beat SEAL scores that took years to master. You honored him more than you know. She blinked up at him, eyes shimmering. Do you think he would have smiled? The colonel kneeled so he could look her in the eyes. He would have smiled, and then bragged to every man on this base. For the first time that day, Lena let out a small laugh, the kind that slips out before sadness pulls it back. And in that moment, the colonel realized something important. She didn't need permission to prove herself. She already had. But she needed someone to stand beside her now. Listen, he said, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. If you want to keep training, safely, properly, I'll make sure you get that chance. Not because you're a soldier, but because you're Carter's daughter, and because you earned it. Her eyes widened. You mean for real? Every morning, he promised. We'll start together. And they did. In the weeks that followed, Lena trained harder than any recruit. Not because she wanted glory, not because she wanted records, but because she was chasing the last thread that tied her to her father. The discipline he taught her, the lessons he left behind, the courage he lived by, she became a symbol on the base. A reminder that strength doesn't need size, that courage doesn't need age, and that love, even when broken, can still fuel greatness. By the end of the summer, Lena stood on the range again, a little taller, a little stronger, her father's dog tag shining in the sun. She aimed at a distant steel plate, breathed in, breathed out, and fired. Another perfect shot. But this time she smiled, and the colonel whispered proudly behind her, she didn't just break SEAL records. She broke the limits everyone set for her.